I'd like to call this meeting to order. 6:30. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adjustments to the agenda?
We have no adjustments to the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Approval of minutes for the July 12th, 2016 meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 12th, 2016 board meeting as presented.
I second that.
Discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Communications and correspondence.
There are a number of letters of resignation should have been sent with your packet, and I'll address those in my report.
Thank you. Public participation. Moving right along. Gee, building administrator's report. Mr. Clifford.
You have my report. I'd like to speak to the Academic Hall of Fame, which we worked on this year to become a reality, and we had a committee that got together at the end of January, and we met probably 7 or 8 times to come up with this class of 2016, which we're excited about. Letters have gone out to these candidates so that they know they were chosen, and October 8th is October 7th they'll be introduced at halftime of the football game, and then October 8th is we'll have an induction ceremony for them at the high school. As you can see, we have some people that have accomplished quite a lot. Most of them Michelle Beal is class of 1982, town manager. Vivian Beer, class of 1996. She's a furniture designer. Shinna Bellows, class of 1993. She's in politics. Gary Fortier, class of 1972, has done a lot for Ellsworth and has been town mayor. Dustin Seavey, class of 2000, he's an actor. Paula Silsby, class of 1969, she's a lawyer and was a U.S. attorney. And Joyce Whitmore, class of 1960, and she's a teacher. So you are all invited, and I'll give you information before then. But it should be a good night, a fun night. We do have the Hall of Fame board up in the lobby, and their plates will be put there a couple days before October 7th. So we're excited about that. And the other part of my principal's report, I just added my goals for the year, which I do every August. And any questions on anything? Good.
Thank you. Excellent choices on your Academic Hall of Fame.
Thanks.
Mr. Newitt.
Good evening. At the middle school, we have some new staff. You'll meet them formally in a little bit, but we have a new health and PE teacher, Matthew Downs, who's here tonight, and Teresa Richardson, our new 6th through 8th grade resource room teacher, is here tonight. Tisha Shelton is a new ed tech for our Fresh Start program, and she's not here tonight. We're very glad to have all 3 of them. We still have a vacancy for a teacher, and that's in life skills, and we still have a need for an ed tech, primarily in grade 6. Something new this year will be a late bus after school. It's going to run 4 days a week for both EEMS and EHS. That'll get kids departing school at 4 p.m. after they have time to meet with teachers to do academics. So we're very excited to afford that opportunity to kids, so to really, for parents who are working, they can still get their kids home, and still get the help. So it's kind of a win-win is how we see it. We put in the budget and didn't get funding for a garden coach, but we have a teacher, our GT teacher, Mary Michael Billings, who is going to step into that role. We do have a grant out there right now. We'll see whether or not that gets funded, but if it does, that funding will go towards her. But she's very enthusiastic. She was very involved this past year, so we're very glad to have Mary Michael taking on that role. And as we continue to work to our shift to proficiency, we've had a lot of teacher time and teacher workshops devoted to that process. Primarily, now that our standards have already been identified, as you know, the idea is to make a template so that when you assess students, you can record that information on the template, as well as taking the time to design the assessments that will measure whether or not they've met those standards. So a lot of that work's been going on this summer. I'm very pleased with how the teachers have been diligent about that. In co-curricular news, we have 3 new coaches. Roddy Keene is going to be our JV boys soccer coach. He also coaches JV basketball and baseball for us. So Roddy's going to be with us all 3 seasons. Matthew Downs, who you meet, will take over the varsity boys soccer. He's done that at Hamden prior to becoming a Falcon. And our head cross-country coach is going to be Darcy Dyer. She is an ed tech in the building and a runner. So it's very glad to have Darcy taking up that role. I should have included it, but since Darcy took it, we had a resignation, so I now have a hole in the assistant cross-country coach. Deb Jordan stepped down, so we are looking to fill that slot. I believe tonight you may be voting in favor of having annual physicals, so I just put this out there for parents as a heads up. Should that come to pass, each child is going to have a physical this fall as soon as a parent can make that appointment. The idea would be until that point in time, we would give the parent and child a waiver form to fill out with the appointment time, the doctor, and the date, and that would allow the child to participate up until the time that appointment takes place. So it's a little bit of limbo, to be honest with you, but I think it's really the only way we're going to go, or we're going to have about 6 kids on the soccer team if we don't get it straight, give them a little leeway. In parent news, first time ever, we're going to have a supply day, a supply giveaway day at the school on the morning of August 23rd, starting at 8. We had 97.7 star channel. I don't know if I got that right, but
You did.
Anyway, they did a very nice drive this past weekend, gathering supplies for kids. There's another group in town gathering supplies for kids, and we're going to make those available to families on that morning. The first day of school this year is Thursday, September 1, and I did a misprint on your flyer. The open house is Tuesday, September 6th, not the 9th. That's a misprint. That's what's going on. Thank you.
I have a quick question,
Sure.
Jim. If community members want to still donate school supplies, is there a place they can drop them off?
Yeah, I mean, right at the school. If you have a notebook or a spiral bound or paper or pencils, pens, calculators, earbuds, all those are all we want. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe due to a few absences, that leaves you, Mr. Higgins.
Well, I will step up and give my report, Mrs. Thomas. Thank you. Very pleased to report an update on the Delaware Stadium bleachers and track. Progress is really moving quickly. SW Cole will be on site next Wednesday to dig some test bore site holes to aid in the design of the new anchor system for the new bleachers. We're still awaiting confirmation from Vermont Tennis Courts, who has been on site to give us a quote for their services on dates that they'll be able to perform repairs to the track. They're anticipating 2 or 3 days that it will take to get that done. It's going to be between August 15th and 26th. And M.E. O'Brien and Sons has been selected as a vendor to install the 866 seat set of bleachers. There we go. We had hoped that those would be installed by September 1st, but the way this whole process has gone, it's been longer than we anticipated. We're looking at a more likely date of mid-September, but our athletic administrators are aware of that, so if we have to reschedule some events, we will get that done. But I think it's important that these get installed properly and right before we get them in there and use them. Mr. Newitt just mentioned it, but I want to thank Star 97 and the First Bank here in Ellsworth for sponsoring and supporting the Pack the Backpack promotion. It was a nice turnout for the event. As I was speaking with Mr. Markosian earlier, the new school bus had the front 8 seats filled with 3 good-sized bags in each seat, both sides of the bus, of supplies. So it was really a nice event. So we want to thank people who generously donated their time and donated supplies for our students. And Mr. Newitt also mentioned the Moose Lodge for donating supplies, and they have come up with 500 backpacks full of supplies that are going to be distributed to the schools. So, these events are examples of the wonderful support that is given to our schools and our students by parents, citizens, and the local business community. Start of the new school year is upon us. It's hard to believe, but our new staff orientation will take place Monday, August 29th, and have it at EEMS. The first two staff in-service days are Tuesday and Wednesday, August 30th and 31st. And as you know, on the 30th, we'll all be gathering, and I'm not sure, is it EEMS or EHS? For breakfast. It'll be announced prior to then, but that's the day we do breakfast. Be about an hour for breakfast and introductions and kicking off the new year, and then all staff members are going to spend the rest of the day and a half with Ann Benninghoff in a great presentation and great workshop. First student day for pre-K through grade 9 is September 1st, and the first day when we'll have all students back is Friday, September 2nd. We have a number of new teachers that you will be acknowledging my action on your behalf this evening, and I will address them when we get to that item in the agenda. But there are a number of new hires that do not come to the board level that we do want to announce tonight. First, we have a number of ed techs that have been hired. We have at EEMS as ed tech 3s, Deb Hodgkins, Tisha Shelton, as Mr. Newell just mentioned, and Brenda Berry. And Kim Edgecombe has been hired as an ed tech 2. We have a new overnight custodian at EEMS. His name is Keith Wheaton. And Mr. Newitt mentioned 3 of our new coaches, but I'll mention them as well. We have Matthew Downs, who's here with us tonight, be doing boys varsity soccer at EEMS. Roddy Keene, who'll be doing boys JV soccer at EEMS. Darcy Dyer, cross country at EEMS. And Jake Hackett, who was hired as an ed tech last month, will be doing JV soccer at the high school. And with letters of resignation and resignation, there are a number of them. We have Peter Enderlin, high school science. Stacy Roguski, grade 2 EEMS. Sherry Bryant, kindergarten EEMS. Kate Keefe, science at the high school. Kristen Dubois, math at the high school. Deb Richards is resigning from the evening enrichment coordinator position, but she's going to be taking up another position for us. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Lindsay Wood, ed tech at EEMS. Deb Jordan, assistant cross-country coach. And Michelle York, custodian. Now, a number of the teachers who have taken other positions are actually taking positions that are closer to their homes, in case anybody had that question. So we still have a couple of vacancies left. Mr. Newitt mentioned a couple at EEMS with ed techs and one special ed position. We also have a science position at the high school and a math position at the high school. And unless there are questions, that would conclude my report.
Thank you.
Dan, do we do exit interviews?
We do not have a formal process, but that's something that we're looking into doing.
All right. Good committee reports. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I assume we're not going to do that because the policy committee will be down a little further. We have no old business, so new business. Consideration of 2016-17 meal prices.
I believe you have a letter from Mr. Daly in your packet. Mr. Daly is here this evening in case you have any questions.
Okay. So we need
I
a
move.
motion.
May I ask,
In the
Mr. Daly, would
discussion?
you get up and speak about this, because this is of concern to a lot of people, and I think that, we see it on a piece of paper, but the general public doesn't hear about it. So if you could explain why the increase, that would be wonderful.
Well,
Thank
I'll
you.
try. Each year, the state reviews what they give for us for all free students for reimbursement, and I believe it's like $307. And they also give us a certain amount for all paid students, which is like 29 cents. And they want the charge to be to make up the difference between what they reimburse us for a paid student and what they reimburse us for free student. So anyway, it comes out to $2.78, and they give you an option to round down to $2.75. We have a little bit of a flexibility because we have the high school rate, which is at $2.80, and the middle school rate is currently at $2.65. So those numbers, they take the month of October, 2015-16, they take those numbers and multiply it out, and there's a formula for that, and it comes out to about $2.73 it was, somewhere in that area. So in order to meet what the state wants us to be, which is $2.75, we had to go up, so to meet that.
Okay.
All right? And all schools in the state of Maine are supposed to be doing this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There's a tool that the Department of Ed uses in the food service department called the price equity tool,
Yeah.
and it details exactly what Mr. Daly
Yeah.
just spoke
Yeah,
of.
yeah. I think that the public needs to hear that it isn't a number that we pick out of here so that we can balance our budget, that it's something that's dictated and there's a formula
Yeah.
that's presented. So.
Yeah, and it has to be attached to our annual application that we, and it has to be approved. And what we do to plan to comply.
Okay.
And that's what we decide.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So I move that we approve the 2016-2017 meal prices as presented and recommended by the food service director.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next, we have the second read and approval of amended policy JJIA, the high school co-curricular activities.
I move that we approve the second read and adopt amended policy JJIA, high school co-curricular activities as recommended by the policy committee.
I second
Was that you, Kelly?
that. Yeah, it was me.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion?
So on the part that Mr. Newitt referenced earlier about the annual physical, so if they, it doesn't say it here, but it just says, I just want to make clear what, maybe we might need to tweak the language a little bit, but I'm trying to find it now. They must have all Ellsworth School Department participants must have a physical examination at their own expense prior to participation in student activities, and they will require to have an annual physical. So if do I take that correctly to mean that if they've had the physical within 1 year of the start of the season, they're good to go?
Yes, that's correct.
So, and then once that 1 year anniversary of their physical comes up, they need to get another physical.
So
So
we do it.
it may not be at the beginning of the school year that they have to scramble and schedule one. If they've had one last,
If I had my
April.
physical on October 1st, then
Yeah.
I'm not due for another one until the following October 1st.
Right.
Correct.
and I think that, so the language here makes, I think we can go with this in terms of,
Yes.
yeah, okay. That's all I
Is
got.
there any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next item is a second read and approval of amended policy JJIB, grades 5 through 8 co-curricular activities.
I move that we approve the second read and adopt amended policy JJIB, grades 5 through 8, co-curricular activities as recommended by the policy committee.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Second read and approval of policy IKF, graduation requirements.
I move that we approve the second read and adopt policy IKF, graduation requirements as recommended by the policy committee.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the policy committee was looking for input from the full board regarding honors and awards at graduation. We went back and forth about how much time a student needs to spend at Ellsworth High School before they are eligible for honors or awards for graduation, such as valedictorian or salutatorian or scholarships. We went back and forth between having to be at Ellsworth High School for 1 year or for 2 years. And we were hoping for some input from the full board. It's at the very end of the policy, H.
And for the full board's reference, the current practice at the high school has been a student who has been here for let me make sure I get this right, for less than 2 years currently are not eligible to be valedictorian, salutatorian, or first honor essayist, but they are able to earn an honors diploma, to earn scholarships, or other awards. Okay. And the language in this draft of the policy still reads that way. The piece that was really at discussion is whether it would be a student comes to Ellsworth and spends 1 full year there or 2 full years there. And it was a fairly lengthy discussion. And I know that there's some recommendation, some from administration that's advocating for 2 years, and there are some reasons for that, and there are some folks who are advocating for 1 year. And some of the pieces you look at would be foreign exchange students or military families. It's a matter of being equitable and fair to all students. So I think what the policy committee was looking for was, from the balance of the board members, some thoughts on that. Other than that, I think there was general agreement on the entire balance of the policy.
So what were the merits of the discussion? What were the arguments for either?
So if you allow a student to earn these awards and honors having just attended for the final year of high school, it could seem unfair to students who have been here all 4 years, you know, to sort of jump in right at the last lap and bring your transcript with you from wherever you were and bring a GPA that now you finish up with the top of your class, or at a threshold where you earn certain awards and scholarships. So that's the rationale for providing a 2-year minimum. But then you have people who transfer here not for strategic reasons, but because life happens, and Mr. Higgins mentioned military families. They're certainly, they have no control over where they get stationed, and so it's time to go. And the student shows up in his or her senior year and should have the opportunity to earn the same awards that other students have. So on the policy committee, I think Kelly and I can speak for you. Neither one of us felt totally comfortable advocating either one of those. So without hearing from the rest of the board and what your thoughts were.
Well, I completely agree with both sides of what you're saying. Some kids move and there's nothing they can do about it. Their families move for jobs for whatever reasons, and it would be unfortunate for them to miss out on that if they had earned it. But perhaps there's a way we could leave it this way, saying that they had to have been here for at least 2 years, but still, if we run into that circumstance or that situation where a student would have been in competition or selected for that honor, that we might be able to still honor them at graduation in another way that still highlights their achievements and gives them some sort of recognition and gives them something to go forward with college. There may be a way for us to still honor them that way, even if it's not as salutatorian or valedictorian. But I feel that if the pool of kids have been competing against each other for 4 years, and their grades are measured based on our standards and our curriculum and our teaching, I think it would be unfortunate for them to lose out with a new student who perhaps didn't have as rigorous a curriculum, or I don't know. Maybe we could table this too and
Well, we could.
discuss it during a workshop. When is it determined that
The final honor parts, I think, soon after the 7th semester, first semester of the senior year. I think to speak to what Dawn was saying, one of the reasons there's kind of a split part in this part of the policy is it's making the student who's been here for less than 2 years not eligible for one of the 3 honor parts, which are the speaking parts at graduation. Again, there is a 4th speaking part at graduation, which is a selection by students and staff members. That's not listed as something that a student would not be eligible for. That might be one way that a student who transfers in, let's say in their senior year, could be recognized. Maybe the staff and students would vote that person in. But the remaining awards that are available, aside from valedictorian, salutatorian, and first honor essayist, students who move here as late as January of their senior year are still eligible for. So there is a mechanism by which they will receive some recognition and potentially financial support for college. I know, at least on the administrative side, there was more of an advocacy for having the language of 2 years rather than 1. And a lot of it was based upon the fact that there was a split in eligibility for 3 pieces and the balance of the pieces.
I definitely think that scholarships should be on the table to all of our students regardless of when they move here. Because I do. That's something that that the sponsors of those scholarships are responsible for selecting the individuals to receive that money, and I just, that would be an awkward conversation to have with a parent why their child wasn't eligible for scholarships because they moved here, you know, too late. But as far as the valedictorian, salutatorian, and first honor essayist, personally, I'd like to see them as 2-year or more students.
But that's what I don't understand. If they move here their senior year, it's not really a full year. If you're saying they get into consideration after the first, it's not
Well,
decided.
if a student were to move here the summer before their senior year, if the language was 1 year, they would be eligible for that.
But not mid-year. They would have
If
to
they
be
moved
the
here in
full-
November or December, then they would not be eligible.
But
If
only
the language
the
were
first
1 year.
semester, though. Really,
Oh, no, maybe I misunderstood your question. I thought your question was, when are those, when is it determined who the valedictorian, salutatorian?
Right.
Okay, I believe that is soon after the end of the first semester of the senior year.
I just think it would be hard to determine them. So really, they're only here for a semester.
But what you'd be doing is taking their grades from their prior school.
Well, yeah, I
and
understand
factoring
that.
those in.
But is there a way to have a building administrator approve it, or a process if it became an issue?
Yeah. From my perspective, I think that would be a very difficult position to put the high school
Mhm.
principal in. To take a look at it. It's a valid question, but it'd be a difficult position to put the high school principal in for saying yes in one situation, no in another situation.
It's so hard.
I just think it's hard to determine.
It's not an easy question. I can tell you
it's-
that most all high schools in the state have this type of language in their policy, and it varies whether it's 1 year or 2 years. I think one of the reasons your administrators are advocating for the 2 is because that has been in place for the past several years, and it seems to have worked well.
Has it is it much of an issue? I mean, not that it matters really either, I was just curious.
My understanding is there may have been an issue that came up a number of years ago that resulted in this type of language. I don't know the particulars of that.
Right.
Are you comfortable moving forward with this? Do you want some time later for some more discussion about it?
I'm okay.
You're okay moving
I'm
forward?
okay with the 2 years, yes, as long as they're eligible for scholarships
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
their honors.
Same here.
Okay.
And with the language as in this draft, you make that 2 years, students would be eligible, and I'll read it out, for an honors diploma, scholarships, or other awards. The only thing they would not be eligible for are those 3 honor parts.
Is there any further discussion? We'll move to a vote. All in favor? Thank you. The next item is first read of policy EHA, electronic signature.
I move to accept the first reading of policy EHA, electronic signature filing as amended and recommended by the policy committee.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. First read of policy JJIE, substance use, abuse, by students participating in co-curricular activities.
I move to accept the first reading of policy JJIE, substance use and abuse by students participating in co-curricular as recommended by the policy committee.
I second that.
Any discussion?
I have a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the violations, does that start over each school year, or is that for the length?
The intent of this policy, as discussed at the policy committee, was this would be for the entire 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So a student who gets a violation in their sophomore year, if they're of the first one, so they get another violation in their junior year, they're on the second violation, and so forth.
And with the initial violation, has it always been 5 weeks, or?
I believe it was a 5-week period when we were part of the RSU. I don't recall what it was prior to that. That seems to be one that has worked well.
And for clarification, the 5 weeks is a 5-week probationary period in which the student is not allowed to participate in extracurricular activities but must attend classes and can attend rehearsals and performance, rehearsals and practices, right?
Attend but not participate.
That's the
Failing.
that's the failing grade policy. This one,
Oh.
the 5-week probation period for a violation of substance abuse would be not permitted to participate in or attend games, competitions, or performances. Oh, I'm sorry.
says that.
But
Paul,
will be
but will be
required.
required to attend. I
Yeah.
apologize, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed the word in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Acknowledgement of superintendent's action taken on behalf of the board in hiring of teacher staff.
As you remember, at the last meeting, you authorized me to act on your behalf for the months of July and August. And we're very pleased to bring forward a list of teachers this evening for you to acknowledge that action by confirming the nominations. And if you'd like to, we can take them one at a time, or would you rather take them as a group? We do have 2 of them here this evening.
One at a time if we're gonna see faces.
So we have a couple of faces. So, first one, would like to present to you Matthew Downs. Matthew is being, step right up to the podium if you'd like, that way the people on the viewing public can see you. And perhaps our cameraman can pan the camera over to see our candidates. But Matthew has been recommended to this position by to be the grades 6 through 12 health teacher for EEMS and EHS. He will also be teaching 4 periods of 8th grade physical education each week at EEMS. He's certified fully in both subjects. Matt has served as an ed tech in Hampton for the past 8 years at both the middle school and high school levels and comes highly recommended. He's also coached varsity soccer at Reedsbrook Middle School in Hampton for the past 6 years. And as you heard earlier, he's going to be coaching our boys varsity soccer at EEMS. It's his first full-time teaching job. He's excited to begin this part of his career. There's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. And according to Mr. Newitt, he's already been working on reviewing curriculum materials. And I had the opportunity to meet with Matt and found him to be highly recommended as well. And I think he's going to be a strong addition to our staff. So, present Matt to you. And what I would ask the board to do is to do a motion to acknowledge my action on your behalf by confirming the nomination of Matthew Downs.
Okay. I move to acknowledge superintendent's action in confirming the nomination of Matthew Downs as a health and PE teacher at EEMS and EHS.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
And also with us this evening is Teresa Richardson, who is coming to us as a special education teacher at EEMS. And Teresa is actually an Ellsworth alumnus, class of 1984, I believe. Is that right, Teresa? Yes. You're going to come up and stand at the podium too? You recognized? Teresa is coming to the 6-8 special education resource room position. She's got 28 years of experience, with the last 12 teaching special ed students at the Holbrook Middle School. Teaching and supervision of ed techs she has done at Holbrook is exactly what she'll be doing at EEMS. She also comes highly recommended and is just 2 courses away from attending her master's degree and national board certification. Mr. Newitt and his committee are very glad that she'll be meeting the needs of the students at EMS, and I had the opportunity to meet with Teresa, and I think she's going to be a very strong addition to the staff here. So I'm asking you to confirm my action.
I move to confirm superintendent's action and the nomination of Teresa Richardson as special ed teacher for Ellsworth Elementary Middle School.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
And none of the remainder of the folks on the list are able to be with us tonight, but I'll give you a brief bio on them anyway. One of them you did happen to meet last month, however. Sarah Petroulis, who will be taking the half-time science teacher position at Ellsworth High School. Sarah graduated from the University of Maine with a Bachelor's of Science in Animal Sciences in 2005. This past year, she went back to the University of Maine and earned her Master's in Education and Science Education. She did her student teaching at MDI High School this past year, and from 2009 to 13, she was project manager at the Jackson Laboratory in Bar Harbor. And in addition to doing the biomedical program, as you approved her for last month, she'll be teaching biology and ecology the other half of her time at EHS. As a grade 2 teacher, another EHS alumnus, Jennifer Beal. Jen comes to EMS with a BS in elementary education from the University of Maine. She brings with her experience as an Ed Tech 3 at the Knowlton School, is a name that we all remember. She was lead teacher director at the Small World Nursery, and she served as our academic coordinator at HCTC last year. The committee was impressed with her experience and believes that she's going to be a solid beginning teacher. Also at EMS, as a special education teacher, we have Bobby Palmer. Bobby comes to her new position with a BS in special ed from Liberty University, and she has experience working with elementary level students and students with special needs. She served as an assistant teacher at CFO for 4 years and was an ed tech at EMS last year. The committee was impressed with her work with special needs children, particularly at EMS, and believes that she will also be a solid first-year teacher. Adult education, Deb Richards. Deb is a familiar face, moved here a couple of years ago. She will be taking the half-time teaching position that we added at the adult ed program. Now she brings with her 35 years of experience as an educator, 25 years as a classroom teacher, predominantly at the elementary level, and also as a reading specialist, and 10 years as an administrator. For the past year and a half, she served in the adult education program as an evening enrichment coordinator, and as a grant that we got last year, she also did some half-time teaching as well. So I know Annie is very pleased to have Deb in this formal position, and her skills are well suited for that position. And the final name that we bring to you tonight is a kindergarten teacher at EMS, Catherine Fox. Catherine has a BS in elementary education from the University of Maryland, and she's worked as a paraeducator in Maryland, which is an ed tech, with special needs students. She was a second grade teacher for 1 year, and for the past 3 years, a successful kindergarten teacher. The committee was impressed with her successful experience at the kindergarten level and her experiences working with standards and differentiation of instruction, and they believe it should be a strong addition to the EMS staff. And at the board's wish, you can take them one at a time, or you can take them as a group.
I move to acknowledge the superintendent's action taken on behalf of the board in confirming the nomination of the following teachers. Sarah Petroulis as a half-time science teacher at Ellsworth High School, Catherine Fox, kindergarten teacher at Ellsworth Elementary Middle School, Bobby Palmer as a special ed teacher at Ellsworth Elementary Middle School, Jennifer Beal, second grade teacher, Ellsworth Elementary School, and Deborah Richards as a half-time adult ed teacher.
I second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Thanks. Calendar and announcements. Meeting schedule, the policy committee meeting is to be announced.
Typically, that's the first Monday of the month. However, that's going to be Labor Day. So Paul and Kelly will have to look for another date for that. We could look at the next week if you'd like, or we can have Teresa send some dates out.
Okay. The next Monday is fine with me.
This Monday's fine? Okay.
Fine with me.
School board meeting, Tuesday, September 13th, 2016, right here in City Council chambers. It's at 6:30 in the evening. The next school board workshop is Tuesday, August 23rd or September 6th.
At your last workshop, when we left, we talked about the fourth Tuesday actually being first day with staff. And looking at the calendar, since then, learned that actually that Tuesday is the 5th Tuesday of August. So if you want to go on your regular date of the 4th Tuesday, we can go on the 23rd, or you can go on the 6th. Okay? And what we have intended for that night is an overview of the Route 1A project and how it's going to affect the entrance at Ellsworth High School. And also our police chief, Pete Bickmore, would like to come and meet with the committee, excuse me, with the board, and talk about some initiatives that he has going on.
What?
I vote we keep it the 23rd.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
23rd, yeah.
So the regular day?
Yeah.
All right, that leaves us to adjournment.
I just was gonna make an announcement. Just, I don't know the exact dates, but the re-election for the board is up, and Paul's and my seats are available, and I will not be running for re-election, so I just think if we can get it out there, it would be good. So I really enjoyed, and it's been a privilege to serve on the board, and it's been a great experience, and I thank everyone for the time. So,
Yeah, thank you for announcing that, because last time around, nobody got the memo, and we had nobody took out nomination papers in time to run, so we did have several people ran as write-in candidates, and Kelly won that election. But I believe Heidi Grindle said that August 15th, the papers will be available at City Hall to get signatures for nomination.
Oh, wow.
So if anyone's interested in running for school board, I will be running for re-election for my seat, but Marcia's will be open.
Marcia, thank you for announcing that, and certainly you'll be here with the board through the balance of your term, but your service has mostly been appreciated.
thank you.
Do you know
And
what
you'll
the
be very,
deadline
very,
is
very much
to call
missed.
for bringing papers?
I believe it's mid-September, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure is when they had to be in by.
Yeah.
But
It was pretty soon after, we got through summer, and then all of a sudden it was
It's upon you.
third
Yeah.
week of September, and the deadline had passed, so it catches people by surprise just because of the time of year.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay.
Having no further business, I move that we adjourn the board meeting.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.